He had built an empire, and now he was watching it collapse second by second. Andrew Johnson, billionaire founder of data tech, knelt on the cold marble floor of the war room. His expensive Navy suit was creased, dusted, forgotten. Both hands gripped the edge of the command console like a man clinging to the edge of a cliff. The red countdown blinked on the screen in front of him, cruel and steady. 504, 503, 502. His breath trembled. His jaw clenched. Around him stood some of the brightest engineers in Lagos, paralyzed. One of them dropped a cup. Another whispered a prayer. All eyes were fixed on the glowing screen, the message that had shut down a digital empire in under 10 minutes. Drop Project Navor. Call this number. Transfer 70% of your shares. You have 5 minutes. No signature. No trace. Just a silent, brutal ultimatum. The Datatech website had gone dark. The internal dashboards dead. Even the heavily protected government data nodes flickered offline one by one like a city losing power during a storm. And someone finally said it aloud, the words that sealed it all. "Sir, the entire backbone is offline." Andrew didn't speak. He didn't need to. The ache in his chest said enough. It hadn't started this way. That morning, Lagos glowed beneath soft sunlight. As Andrew's armored SUV glided onto Victoria Island, passers-by paused and looked up at the Datatech building like it was a cathedral, a national treasure. They pointed. They smiled. They admired him. Andrew Johnson, Surreal boy turned tech giant, the man who gave Nigeria a digital spine. From a tiny back-office startup to the vaults that now protected government data, hospitals, schools, airports. And today was meant to be historic. Project Navor had officially been awarded to Datatech. A billion-dollar government contract. A project that would power the very pulse of the nation. His rivals were furious, envious. But Andrew felt ready. He believed in his team. Until 9:17 a.m. That's when the first alert appeared, just a flicker on the monitor. A harmless intrusion attempt. Blocked instantly. Nothing unusual. At 10:03 a.m., it changed. Multiple pings. Coordinated. Sharp. Targeted. Musa, Datatech cyber lead, leaned in with furrowed brows. "They're scanning our identity keys," he said, uncertain. "Looks internal." The room tensed. Firewalls rose. Clusters were isolated. But the attackers moved faster than the defenses. By 11:12 a.m., they were inside layers of the system no one outside the company should even know existed. They weren't guessing. They were navigating. Vaults. Test rigs. Backup servers. Places so secure, even most employees didn't have clearance. Andrew gathered the full team in the war room. 16 screens, multiple data maps, a locked door, and a silence filled with heartbeats. "Listen to me," he said, voice steady but strained. "We protect public data, government data. We cannot fail." They fought. They fought hard. But the harder they pushed, the deeper the hackers went. And then, at 12:43 p.m., the floor vanished beneath them. The Datatech website gone. The internal dashboard gone. The encrypted vault collapsed. The final screen lit up in red. Critical breach. System override engaged. And then, the ransom message appeared, along with the countdown. Andrew dropped to his knees. Everything he had built, 20 years of work, sacrifice, and belief, was slipping through his fingers. And it wasn't just business. It was people. Children in schools relying on online access. Hospitals storing critical patient data. Government branches securing national strategy. All connected to Datatech. He couldn't move. His hands hovered over the keyboard, but his body refused. "Sir," Musa whispered, "the timer is falling. We need to act." Andrew inhaled. "We don't pay," he muttered. "We never pay." But the fear had entered his voice, and the timer continued without mercy. 3:44, 3:43, 3:42. His team scrambled. Mirror shifts, block levels, key rotations. Every defense they had failed, and then came a voice. Not from the console, not from the screens, from the back of the room. "Sir," the voice said softly. "I can fix it." Heads turned. Confused. Standing by the glass door was a young woman in a janitor's uniform. Blue apron, yellow gloves, a mop bucket beside her, streaked with mud. She looked like she had wandered into the wrong movie. "Madam, please," one engineer said. "This is not a cartoon. You're in a secure zone." Another gestured toward the exit. "Please step out." But she didn't move. "I can fix it," she said again. Andrew looked at her. Really looked. She wasn't panicking. Her eyes were sharp, focused, controlled. "What's your name?" he asked. "Olivia Enwoke." "You've seen something like this before?" "Yes, sir." He hesitated. "How sure are you?" Her answer was quiet. "Enough to know you have 90 seconds left." The room froze. Andrew turned slowly toward his team, engineers he had trusted for years. And for the first time, they looked helpless, broken. "Move," he said. "Sir," Musa began. "Move the chair." "Let her try." No one spoke, but they obeyed. Olivia walked forward. She didn't remove her gloves, didn't flinch. She took the chair, cracked her knuckles once, and began. Her fingers flew across the keyboard like she wasn't thinking, just remembering. A hidden terminal opened, one the engineers didn't recognize. "What is she doing?" someone whispered. "The attackers aren't outside," Olivia said calmly. "They're inside your monitoring systems. You've been blocking doors, but they became the walls." Code rained across the screen. Fast, aggressive, alive. A new log trace appeared, unknown to the rest of the room. 30 seconds, she murmured. The room went still. 032, 031, 030. She hit enter. The main screen flickered once, twice. A single paper printed from the side console. The timer screamed on. 003, 002, 001. Then, a loud beep. The Datatech homepage reloaded. Bright green. Stable. Restored. No one moved. No one breathed. Then the room erupted. Musa fell to his knees. Engineers screamed, laughed, hugged each other. Someone shouted, "It's back." But Andrew didn't move. He stood, frozen, eyes wide. She had done it. She, the janitor, in under 90 seconds. He stepped forward, like afraid she might vanish. How did you do that?" he whispered. She pointed at the screen. "I isolated the root kit," she said, then starved their access point. Fed them a shadow mirror. They thought they were in your live system, but it was a ghost. The room fell silent again. Musa stared. You fed them a dead spine?" "Yes." "You traced the infiltrator in real time?" "Yes." Her voice remained soft, almost shy. Andrew exhaled slowly. "That's genius." "I only did what was needed, sir." But she wasn't finished. She handed him the printed paper. Andrew read it and froze. The IP trace, the access log, the digital route pointed inside Nigeria. And not just inside. It pointed to Ander Technologies, owned by Anderson Kalu, his oldest rival, the man who once said in an interview, "I will make sure Datatech regrets this win." Andrew's hands clenched. "Can you prove this in court?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Olivia said. A new silence settled in the room. This time it was heavy, electric. Andrew stepped forward and gently touched Olivia's shoulder. "You just saved this company," he said softly. "And maybe you just saved the country." She looked down. "I just didn't want to watch everything fall." And something in her voice cracked, just slightly, enough for Andrew to realize this woman wasn't just brilliant. She was carrying something heavy. Andrew Johnson couldn't stop staring at her. The mop, the gloves, the mud still clinging to her apron. Nothing about Olivia Enwoke screamed savior. And yet she had just done what an entire floor of engineers couldn't. Saved a billion-dollar company in under 2 minutes. But it wasn't just the speed. It was how she moved, how she knew where the attackers hid, how she outmaneuvered them like she'd seen their tricks before, like she'd lived in their world, which made one question grow louder in his head. Who are you? The war room was chaos now. Controlled, but chaos all the same. Engineers called out instructions. Emergency reports were being compiled. Legal was on the line. Someone handed him coffee. He didn't drink it. Andrew watched Olivia walk out of the room, quietly wiping her apron with the same yellow gloves she never took off. No one thanked her. No one asked her anything. She just slipped away. But he wasn't done with her. That evening, long after the last engineer had left, long after the lawyers filed the criminal complaint, after the Federal Cybercrime Unit received every packet of evidence she had printed, Andrew sat alone in his private study, lights low, the city humming outside. He still hadn't exhaled. He should have been relieved. He should have been celebrating. Instead, something pulled at him, the way Olivia had stood in that room. Calm, ready, like someone used to stepping into disasters. So he called for her. Ask Olivia to come to the study, he told the staff. She arrived 15 minutes later, still in her dusty uniform, arms folded awkwardly, standing near the door like she didn't belong. Come in, he said gently. Sit. She sat on the edge of the chair, hands at her lap, eyes down. Andrew leaned forward. Who are you, Olivia? Really? Her fingers twitched. Her voice cracked. I wasn't always a janitor, she whispered. He said nothing. I used to be a cybersecurity engineer. He blinked. Waited. I worked for a fintech firm. One day we got hacked. Millions vanished. They blamed me. No proof. Just blamed. I was arrested. 5 years. Andrew felt the breath knock out of him. She wasn't done. In prison, my parents died. My uncle sold our house. Everyone said I brought shame. I became homeless. She didn't cry, but her voice carried weight. Old, painful weight. When Datatech hired me as a janitor, it was the only job I could get without a background check. I took it because I needed to survive. Andrew stood slowly, walked toward her. Why didn't you tell anyone? He asked. She looked up, eyes shining. Because no one believes people like me. And I stopped believing in myself, too. He felt his throat tighten. She wasn't lying. Every word in her voice rang with quiet truth. He lowered himself beside her, face soft. Olivia, you saved this company today. You saved millions of people. She said nothing. So he made a decision. Starting tomorrow, he said gently, you are no longer a janitor. She blinked. You're the new head of cybersecurity at Datatech. Her lips parted. Sir, he nodded. I'm giving you the second chance life, try to steal. Just like you gave me one today. And for the first time since the breach, Olivia broke. Tears slipped down her face, not the silent, hidden kind. The real kind. The kind that cleans you out. Andrew said nothing more. He let her cry. But just as the air began to settle, his phone rang. A call from the Federal Cybercrime Unit. He answered. Andrew Johnson speaking. A firm voice replied. Mr. Johnson, this is Inspector Gabriel. We need you at headquarters tomorrow morning. Andrew frowned. Is something wrong? Anderson's already been arrested. That's why we need you here, Gabriel said. There's new information. A pause. And bring the janitor. Olivia. Andrew looked at her. She had stopped crying. Her face had gone still. Yes, he said. She'll be there. The line went dead. Olivia's voice was barely a whisper. Sir, I don't want to be in trouble. You're not, Andrew replied, stepping toward her. But whatever happened, the court wants your voice. She didn't respond. But he noticed something. The way her hands trembled slightly. The way her eyes darted to the floor. Fear. Deep old fear. He didn't push. You should rest, he said gently. Tomorrow will be important. She nodded and left quietly. But Andrew stayed in that chair long after she was gone, staring at the door. Because something was coming. Something worse than sabotage. And, somehow, he knew Olivia was at the center of it. The next morning, Lagos buzzed with noise as their SUV pulled into the cybercrime unit headquarters. Olivia wore a simple brown dress his staff had bought her. Her hair was neat. Her hands still trembled. Inside, Inspector Gabriel was waiting. Mr. Johnson, Miss Olivia, come with us. They walked into a private room. On the table sat files, logs, transfer records. Gabriel tapped the first document. This is the call record from the day of the attack, he said. Andrew scanned it, then stopped. His heart slammed. That number, he said slowly. That's Anderson's wife. Gabriel nodded grimly. And that's not all. He slid another sheet forward. Olivia leaned in. Her eyes widened. The first payment to the hackers was made 3 days before you won Project Naver, Gabriel said. They didn't attack because you won. They planned it before. Andrew clenched his fists. It was never about revenge. It was about sabotage from the start. Gabriel's eyes darkened. And we know who helped them plan it. Andrew looked up. Gabriel pointed at the final page. A name. A name Andrew didn't expect. Olivia, and woke. The room went silent. Andrew turned to her slowly. Her face was pale. She didn't move. Olivia, he said. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Gabriel stepped in quickly. She's innocent. She proved that. But someone used her identity as a cover. Her criminal record made her the perfect scapegoat. Andrew breathed out, furious. They tried to frame her. Gabriel nodded. There's more, he said. We found a message in the hacker's phone. A text. He handed it to Andrew. It read, "Make sure everything traces back to her. She'll take the fall again." Olivia gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth. Andrew turned toward her. Someone had tried to destroy her. Again. And this time, she might not survive it. The walls felt closer now. Andrew sat still, Olivia beside him, the air heavy with things neither of them had the strength to say. Inspector Gabriel's voice echoed like it belonged to another room. They used her past to hide themselves, he said. They assumed we'd see the name, blame her, and stop looking. Andrew tightened his jaw. They almost succeeded. Gabriel didn't disagree. He slid one final document onto the table. One last page. One last match to strike against Olivia's already scorched name. We found the origin of the framing, he said. The strategist behind the attack. Andrew took one glance at the photo and felt ice slide down his spine. A tall man. Confident smile. Sharp eyes. Slick suit. He knew that face. And so did Olivia. Her lips trembled. Her skin went pale. And before she could speak, Andrew already knew. You know him, he said. She nodded. Barely. His name is Den's son, Afalabi. Andrew clenched his fists. Den's son. Anderson Kalu's former chief digital advisor. A man who had once sat in this very building, giving expert testimony in cybersecurity trials. A man who, now they learned, had framed Olivia for the fintech collapse 5 years ago. A man who disappeared the moment arrest began. Gabriel's voice dropped. He fled Lagos last night, crossed the border into Benin Republic. We believe he's heading toward a darknet hub near the coast. Andrew stood, fury in his breath. He's not just a strategist. He's a terrorist. Gabriel nodded grimly. And he took something. Andrew's face darkened. What? The officer who entered next held a file like it was a death sentence. He took Project Naver's backup files, the officer said quietly. And your system's master key. Silence. Then Olivia screamed. Andrew didn't speak. Couldn't. His mouth went dry. Gabriel whispered the only words more terrifying than the countdown they had faced just 1 day ago. If he uploads that key, Nigeria's entire data infrastructure could collapse. Andrew's head spun. He sat down slowly, like the ground beneath him was no longer solid. Hospitals, airports, banking systems, emergency networks. Everything data tech was built to protect. It could all vanish. No ransom, no warning, just digital death. Gabriel looked at Olivia. We need your help. Again. Andrew rose instantly. No. The room turned to him. She's done enough, he said. She already saved us. Gabriel met his eyes. And she's the only one who understands Denson's code well enough to stop him. Andrew looked at Olivia, saw the hesitation, the terror, and beneath it, something else. A quiet burn. No one else will know where to start, she said softly. Gabriel nodded. We traced Denson's path. He's heading toward a relay station on the Benin coast. Once he gets there, he can sell or upload the master key. If that happens, he didn't finish the sentence. We need someone who knows the station. The architecture. The traps, Gabriel said. And Olivia worked there. Before. Andrew's head turned sharply. What? Olivia's voice cracked. That relay station is where he trained me. Years ago. Before everything. It was supposed to be off the grid. She inhaled. I know the entrance. The route. The inside layout. If anyone can shut him down, it's me. No, Andrew said. You're not going back into that. Not alone. I won't be alone, she said. The tactical team will escort me. But once inside, they won't understand what they're looking at. Andrew shook his head. You're not a soldier. I'm not, she said quietly. I'm the one he's scared of. Gabriel said nothing. He didn't need to. Andrew walked closer, face torn between fear and pride. "Olivia, please. You don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore." She looked up at him. Her voice was soft, but unbreakable. "He destroyed my life once. I won't let him destroy this country, too." A long silence filled the room. Finally, Andrew stepped back, swallowed hard. "What do you need?" She pointed at the equipment table. "A secure laptop, mobile encryption unit, direct comms line with you." Gabriel nodded at the officers. "Prepare the convoy." The convoy of black tactical vans tore through the border road as the sky over Benin turned dusky and gold. Inside the lead van, Olivia sat between armored officers, laptop open, headset in place. Andrew was beside her. She hadn't expected that. "You don't have to be here," she said. "I do," he replied. "If something happens to you, I need to be here." Their eyes met. Just for a moment. It said more than words. Outside, palm trees blurred past. Ocean wind crept in through the vents. "Are you scared?" he asked quietly. "Yes," she said. "Me too," he replied. But her hands never stopped moving. Code streamed across her screen as she traced Denson's digital path. "He's already in the core directory," she murmured. "He's trying to overwrite the data shadow." "What does that mean?" "If he succeeds, he'll burn it all, even the backups. There'll be nothing left to restore." Andrew's fists clenched. Gabriel's voice crackled over the comms. 5 minutes to target. Suddenly, Olivia froze. "No, this is wrong." "What?" "The relay station's firewall isn't supposed to light up this fast," she said, fingers flying. Then her eyes widened. "He's not trying to upload the master key." Andrew's chest tightened. "Then what is he?" She turned to him slowly, her voice barely a whisper. "He's trying to wipe your entire company. Every file, every server, every vault." Andrew's breath caught. "If he succeeds, Datatech dies. Forever." The van screeched to a halt outside an abandoned industrial compound. Rusty gates. Shadows. Silence. Officers jumped out. Guns raised. Olivia grabbed her laptop and jumped down. Andrew followed. She turned to him. "Stay behind me." "No," he said, stepping beside her. "Today we walk together." She didn't respond, but her eyes shimmered. Inside, the compound smelled of damp metal and old secrets. The terminal at the center glowed red. Denson's attack code ran live. Olivia gasped. "He's in the final stage. We're down to minutes." Andrew dragged a chair to the console. She sat, plugged in. The screen flashed. Data wipe 87%, 88%, 89%. Andrew's heart pounded. "Olivia." "I know," she whispered. Her hands flew. She launched a counterworm, spliced into the loop, rewrote the directory, flipped the key logic. The code fought back. A red wave surged across the screen. Intrusion detected. Final wipe triggered. Andrew leaned in, his breath warm on her neck. "You're not alone," he whispered. "Not anymore. 91%, 92%, 93%. She bypassed the override, forced a conflict, injected the worm directly into the breach point. The screen screamed. Then green. Conflict detected. Worm engaged. The worm spread. Erased the attack script. Purged the wipe command. Restored the shadow. Rebooted the vault. 3 seconds passed. Endless. Silent. Andrew's hand gripped her shoulder. "Please." Then the screen blinked. Data restoration complete. Datatech secured. Olivia stared, frozen, then burst into tears. Andrew dropped to his knees beside her. "You did it," he whispered. "Olivia, you did it." She turned toward him. "I didn't do it alone," she said through the tears. "You stood with me." He pulled her into a tight embrace. She buried her face in his chest and sobbed softly. The battlefield vanished. It was just them, together. Gabriel approached. "Din's son has been captured. Border Patrol got him. The country is safe." Andrew closed his eyes. Relief swept through him. He looked at Olivia. She wasn't just a survivor anymore. She was a hero. When they returned to Lagos, Datatech employees lined the entrance, clapping, crying, chanting her name. "Olivia! Olivia!" She stood stunned. Andrew placed a hand on her back and whispered, "Welcome home, head of cybersecurity." She looked at him. For the first time in her life, She felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. And as they walked inside, side by side, neither of them noticed the officer who stepped quietly into Inspector Gabriel's office, holding a sealed envelope. "There's something else," the officer said. Gabriel opened it. Inside was a single photo, a document marked with Olivia's name, and a note that read, "Peace rarely stays long, especially when something this big goes quiet too quickly." 1 week after the breach, data tech had returned to near normal. Engineers were back in their zones. Federal agents had finished their interviews. The main systems were stable, and the public had moved on, as they always do. But Olivia hadn't, and neither had Andrew. She wore her new title well, head of cybersecurity. Her name sat polished on her office door. Her ID now opened every level. People greeted her with respect, but Olivia still moved like someone walking on ice, afraid that one misstep might break through and drown her. And Andrew noticed. He walked her to her floor each morning, not saying much, just being present. Sometimes he left handwritten notes at her desk. "You're stronger than this building," or "Lunch today if you're breathing." Sometimes she smiled. Sometimes she didn't. They never called it what it was. Not yet, but something between them had shifted. Then came a knock. It was just after 7 p.m. Andrew was alone in his office, watching the lights of Lagos glitter like circuitry. The knock wasn't staff. It was too sharp, too deliberate. Inspector Gabriel stepped in with a sealed black envelope. "Evening," he said. "We recovered something else. From Denson's place." Andrew motioned for him to sit. He didn't. "It's not public yet," Gabriel continued. "We found a hidden storage cache. Off-site. He'd been watching someone." He handed the envelope to Andrew. It was thin but dense. Andrew opened it. Inside, surveillance photos of Olivia. Screen captures from her prison file. Records of her work at the fintech company. Even a letter she'd written in prison, addressed to no one. Gabriel spoke carefully. He wasn't just preparing to frame her again. He was collecting her, studying her. She was part of his contingency plan. Andrew's face stayed still, but something behind his eyes cracked. "There's more," Gabriel added, sliding over a printed message. One of his encrypted instructions. "We just decrypted it." Andrew read it. "If she talks, activate Protocol Gray." "What's that?" he asked. Gabriel shook his head. "We don't know. Yet. But we think it involves someone else." He handed over a photo. Young man. Late 20s. Hoodie. Familiar eyes. Andrew didn't recognize him. But the moment Olivia entered the room and saw it, her body stopped. Her voice broke. "That's my brother. F." Gabriel nodded. His digital trace showed up in Denson's offshore archive. Buried deep. Repeated connections. Message activity. Olivia sat slowly, like gravity had doubled. "I haven't seen him since before the trial," she whispered. "After I was arrested, he just disappeared. I thought he moved on. I thought he left." "He didn't," Gabriel said. "He was used." Andrew leaned in. "Used how?" Gabriel placed another document on the desk. A data map. Your system logs were accessed 3 times by an external key that matched Olivia's family name. The signature trace shows relay nodes through Ghana. Our team tracked it to an encrypted comms location near Accra. "Is he working with them?" Andrew asked. "We don't know, but the signal was recent. 5 days ago." Andrew stood. "We're going." Gabriel raised a brow. "You want to go yourself?" "He's her brother," Andrew said. "And this attack didn't end when the screens went green. I want answers." Olivia looked at him. "You don't have to do this," she said softly. "I do." Accra was hot and humming with color. Street vendors, car horns, scattered Wi-Fi signals bouncing off concrete. Gabriel's team led them to a modest internet cafe between 2 repair shops. The owner barely remembered the man in the hoodie. Paid in cash. Quiet. But Olivia's presence lit up the room. She scanned the terminal he had used, brought up cash system data, and within minutes paused. "There," she whispered. Andrew leaned in. "If I type something. Not a message. Code." "What is that?" Andrew asked. "A handshake protocol," Olivia said. "It's mine. I created it years ago for internal alerts. But this one's inverted. Which means he's trying to signal you," Gabriel finished. Quietly. "The script leads to a darknet node," Olivia said. "But look at this." She traced a path on the map. "Côte d'Ivoire. Outside Abidjan, Andrew exhaled. He's not hiding from you. He's hiding with the only tools he has. Gabriel nodded. We move at dawn. That night, Andrew found her on the hotel balcony, knees pulled to her chest, laptop open but untouched. She didn't look at him. I dreamed he was dead, she said, because that was easier than believing he abandoned me. Andrew said nothing. She looked at him. I don't know if I can face him. What if he's part of this? What if he really turned against me? Andrew's voice was low. Then we find out together. She looked at him. Why are you still here? He gave her a long look. Because you walked into my war room in gloves and an apron and saved my entire legacy in 90 seconds. And because somehow I care more about whether you're okay than whether my servers are online. He moved closer. She didn't step back. And in the quiet warmth of that balcony, Andrew kissed her. Not for thanks, not out of impulse, but as someone anchoring himself to the only thing in his life that finally made sense. She kissed him back. No questions asked. The note outside Abidjan was a trap. They breached the compound and found only burned servers. Drives wiped. Screens fried. But Olivia's laptop beeped. One final signal. Encrypted. A location. And 2 words. Come alone. Andrew looked at her. You're not going. I have to. You're not walking into that alone. He used my code, she said. He's waiting for me. Gabriel tried to object. We can't protect you if. He doesn't want to hurt me, Olivia said. If he did, I'd already be gone. Andrew didn't argue anymore, but his silence carried weight. The building was a shell of a school. Shattered windows. Dust and shadows. She walked in slowly, one step at a time. Then she saw him, sitting at an old desk. Hoodie up, laptop open. His hands trembled. Liv, he said. Her breath caught. I thought you left, she whispered. I thought you'd never forgive me. He looked up, eyes red. They made me do it. They threatened your life. They said if I didn't help bury your name, they'd finish what they started. You could have told me. I couldn't find you. You were gone. He lowered his head. I wrote code I didn't understand. Rerouted nodes. Flagged your logins. I thought I was saving you. Then I realized I was part of what destroyed you. She stepped closer. Tears ran freely now. Why didn't you stop? I did, he whispered. The handshake? That was my cry for help. She walked him and pulled him into her arms. For a moment, nothing else mattered. Not data tech. Not the breach. Not the betrayal. Just blood and forgiveness. When they returned to Lagos, Andrew waited near the jet, watching Olivia and F step down the ramp. Olivia gave him a tired smile. He's ready to cooperate, she said. He wants to help. Andrew placed a hand gently on her back. So do I. And then, like the last line of code in a long-running program, the final puzzle clicked into place. But peace? Peace never lasts long. Back at Data Tech, a junior analyst ran into Gabriel's office, holding a sealed drive. Sir, we found something else. Buried in Denson's archive. Gabriel plugged it in. One folder. One name. Yinka. Some victories come with echoes. Quiet first, then louder. The breach was over. The servers were stable. Denson was in custody. And Olivia and Woke had gone from janitor to national hero in a matter of days. But something still pulled at Andrew. It wasn't mistrust. It wasn't fear. It was unfinished. The feeling that some door, somewhere, had been left slightly ajar. And then came the final folder. Gabriel delivered it in person. A small drive recovered from Denson's deep archive. Encrypted under 3 layers. Buried beneath decoys. And when decrypted, it held a name neither of them expected. Yinka, Andrew's head of operations. The woman who'd been with Datatech since its 2nd year. Loyal. Steady. Invisible in the best way. He stared at the name for several seconds, unable to speak. Financial transfers, Gabriel said. Small amounts. Spread over time. But all routed through shell accounts connected to Denson's primary laundering hub. Andrew's voice came slow. You're sure? Gabriel nodded. Too many matches to ignore. Andrew clenched his fists. Where is she? Out of the country. Took emergency leave 2 days ago. Supposedly visiting her mother in Nairobi. But flight logs show she never boarded. Andrew stood. We find her. Gabriel nodded. Already in motion. That evening, Andrew sat with Olivia in his study, the lights low, the air thick with quiet. She sat on the edge of the couch, hands in her lap. He passed her the drive. She didn't open it. She was close to you, she said softly. She was family, Andrew replied. Silence stretched between them. Do you think she hated you? Olivia asked. No, he said. I think she hated being second. Olivia looked down. Andrew watched her carefully. You're not second to anyone. Her eyes lifted slowly. I didn't mean. I know, he interrupted gently. But you need to hear it anyway. He reached over, took her hand. You've carried guilt that was never yours, and strength that no one saw. You don't have to fight alone anymore. Her fingers closed around his. Outside, the night deepened. Inside, something finally exhaled. The next morning, Gabriel called. We've tracked her, he said. She's in Abidjan, and she's not running. She's negotiating. Andrew narrowed his eyes. With who? Denson's remaining buyers. She's trying to sell the last of the backup key structure. What Olivia recovered didn't include everything. There's a segment still unaccounted for. Olivia, who stood nearby, went pale. The contingency layer. Gabriel nodded. Exactly. A deep vault, buried in the old framework. It only unlocks with the biometric token of someone from the original build team. Olivia's face dropped. Andrew turned to her. What? She swallowed. She has mine. What do you mean? Olivia sat slowly. When I was arrested, everything was confiscated. Devices, data tokens, biometrics. She was the one who cataloged the inventory. She must have duplicated it. Andrew didn't speak. He was already moving. They reached Abidjan by midnight. A storm had passed. The city was quiet but wet. Yinka had checked into a luxury penthouse under a fake name. But Datatech's Cybertrail team flagged her presence within hours. Olivia, Andrew, and Gabriel entered the building at 12:41 a.m. Yinka didn't resist. She opened the door herself. Andrew, she said calmly, like nothing was wrong. Why, he asked. She tilted her head. Because you chose her. He blinked. What? Yinka's voice stayed level. You built Datatech with people who bled for you. And the moment someone walked in with a mop and a miracle, you gave her the throne. Andrew stepped forward, jaw tight. She saved the company. So did I. 1,000 times. Quietly. Without applause. Olivia spoke, her voice steady. You framed me. Yinka turned. No. Din's son did. I just opened the door. Gabriel interrupted. Where's the drive? Yinka reached in her pocket, tossed a small black stick onto the table. There, she said. But you're too late. Copies are already moving. Andrew grabbed it. What do you mean? She smiled faintly. You don't stop information. You just delay it. Gabriel moved quickly. We need to trace the upload paths. But Olivia was already typing. Faster than anyone in the room. The copy's incomplete, she said. The key segments are obfuscated. They'll corrupt the data. Yinka smirked. Lucky guess. Olivia didn't flinch. No, I designed it that way, in case it was ever stolen. She looked at Yinka. You never understood the systems. You just knew how to open doors. Yinka's face darkened. And you never understood how much I gave to this company. You gave nothing, Andrew said. You just took. Gabriel handcuffed her without another word. She didn't resist. She didn't cry. She just stared at Olivia one last time. And Olivia didn't look away. By sunrise, the last of the stolen keys were neutralized. The backup vaults secured. Interpol took custody of Yinka. And Andrew stood in the Datatech atrium as Olivia stepped off the elevator. She wore a crisp white blazer. Her hair was pulled back. Her eyes, though tired, were clear. Employees clapped when she entered the floor. But she barely noticed. Her gaze locked on Andrew. You're safe, she said simply. He smiled. So are you. They walked side by side through the glass corridor, past servers, security checkpoints, engineers. When they reached her office, he paused. Olivia, he said. She turned. There's something I've been meaning to ask. She raised a brow. Now. He nodded. Now. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small velvet box. She froze. Andrew. He opened it. A ring. Simple. Clean. Elegant. Marry me. Her eyes filled instantly. I'm not the same girl you met with a mop in her hand. I know, he said softly. That's why I'm asking now. She stepped forward. I don't know how to be this. You already are. She didn't need more words. She nodded. And when he kissed her this time, there was no fire behind them. Only light. 2 years later, Olivia Johnson stood on the Datatech stage beside her husband, holding a glass award from the Ministry of Technology. Their son, Charles, clapped from the audience in the arms of her brother. F had started a non-profit helping ex-convicts learn tech skills. Musa had been promoted to chief data architect, and the company that nearly died was now helping secure half the continent. But more than that, Olivia had found something rarer than security. Peace. The past hadn't vanished, but she had faced it, survived it, and rewritten it, line by line.